Well, it's a pleasure for me to be speaking today on a topic on which I've become very interested recently, and that is in the dietary supplement industry, which is a very big industry, as you'll see. I have no disclosures, no conflicts of interest with regard to this or anything else for that matter. But for the size of the dietary supplement industry, take a look at this slide. The total expenditure for pharmaceutical products in the United States currently is about $425 billion per year, and the expenditure for dietary supplements is about $56 billion a year. So 13%, the dietary supplement industry is 13% of the expenditure for oral products for treatment of patients in a variety of conditions. So it's big. Despite its large size, what I can tell you is that there are very few dietary supplements that have adequately powered, double-blind, placebo-controlled studies of their efficacy or safety. Very few of the dietary supplements are able to prove that they have efficacy or safety. Now, I don't mean to say that they are inefficacious or unsafe, because I don't know that. But I also think that there is no proof that they are efficacious or safe, and the manufacturers should not be claiming that they are making safe and efficacious products. Dietary supplements are not free of adverse events. There was a study that was done, this is the only study I know of, that addresses the safety of dietary supplements. And it's an older study, and it was done in 2015, or published in 2015. The authors collected data from 63 large emergency departments in the United States between the years of 2004 and 2013. And then the data were extrapolated to the entire US population. And their conclusion is that in those years, there were 23,000 emergency department visits per year in the United States due to dietary supplements, adverse events from dietary supplements, and that turned into 2,000 hospitalizations per year. Most of the most common dietary supplement that caused these adverse events were products for sexual dysfunction, weight loss, and decreased energy. And within the field of sexual dysfunction, the side effects were mostly related to sildenafil, which was surreptitiously added to some of the dietary supplements. I'll come back to that later. So this led to not a specific investigation, but led to curiosity about the possible contamination or adulteration of herbal erectile dysfunction products with PDE5 inhibitors, most commonly sildenafil. The first study on this was published by Neil Fleshner a long time ago in 2005. That's only 7 years after sildenafil was approved, and about 3 years after tadalafil and vardenafil were approved. So these authors, it's a very small study, but it's a little picture into the field. These authors went out and bought 7 products which claimed that the products were able to treat sexual dysfunction. The products were available and bought from local health food stores or online. And of these 7 products, one contained about 30 milligrams of sildenafil per pill, and another one contained about 20 milligrams of tadalafil per pill. So in this very small study, 28% of the products were adulterated. I think I skipped here. Sorry. The frequency of dietary supplement adulteration is unknown. There's a little information about it, but not a lot. Between 2007 and 2016, the FDA reported that there were 776 adulterated dietary supplements. They were produced by 146 different dietary supplement manufacturers. Among the adulterated products, 45% were used to, or were claimed to enhance sexual activity. Among the adulterated products, 47% contained sildenafil, making sildenafil one of, or maybe even the most common adulterant in the dietary supplement industry. So clearly there are some dangers involved in dietary supplements, particularly in the case of those supplements that are adulterated. And remember, adulteration means that the presence of, for example, sildenafil is not announced on the bottle, and the patients don't know that they're taking a dose of sildenafil. So here's an example of what might be going on in the adulteration, or what might be resulting from adulteration of dietary supplements for erectile dysfunction. So Bill is a 65-year-old man with coronary disease and angina, and he also happens to have erectile dysfunction, as so many men with coronary disease have. He uses a dietary supplement for enhancement of his sexual function and treatment of his erectile dysfunction. The supplement that he uses has sildenafil in it, but it's not revealed in the dietary supplement label. Bill has sex. He develops acute angina during sex. He takes a nitroglycerin tablet for relief of his angina. He doesn't know that he took sildenafil. Bill collapses in the bedroom and dies. People think, his family, police, and others think that sex killed Bill by causing a fatal heart attack. No one knows that he used a combination of nitroglycerin and sildenafil. Now, I want to put forward a question that has no answer. How many times might this have happened in real life? It may be very, very common. It may be very uncommon. We just don't know. We don't have the information on that. The dietary supplement industry is regulated by a federal act in the United States called the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. It was passed in 1994. And in this act, dietary supplements are regulated as foods, not as drugs. And because they're not drugs, they're not subject to the strict FDA rules which are used in the regulation of drugs. Dietary supplement manufacturers are not required to prove safety to the FDA as long as they're using ingredients that are called GRAS, G-R-A-S, which means generally recognized as safe. What are GRAS ingredients? They are those ingredients that were in use prior to the passage of DSHEA in 1994. Many of these products, probably most of them, contain only GRAS ingredients rebranded in new combinations, new concentrations, or new names, some of which are sexually suggestive. The products keep getting recycled in different concentrations and different in different medications. So here's a list of some of the common ingredients which are considered to be GRAS, safe. And if you look carefully at the labels on dietary supplements which are given for sexual enhancement, you'll see that these keep cycling through and keep coming back. The names of some of the dietary supplements are suggestive. And I thought you might like to see some of the names that you can find on the internet right now. Alpha Boost, Conquer, Erect XL, grass-fed beef testes, Heat, Primal Total, T-Bomb Extreme, Thrust, Test Jack, and the other one I listed here is Viral X. And here are some pictures of some of these products. Grass-fed beef testes. Sorry, skipped ahead. The last one that I skipped over accidentally is Conquer. This one is Primal Total Nail. And the last one I wanted to show you is Man TF Up. I'll leave it to your imagination to imagine how they came up with that name. But I'd like to also point out that in the upper right-hand corner, there is an American flag. I guess they want to suggest that it's patriotic to use this product. Now, in Dietary, there are some consumer protections that are built into the Dietary Supplement Health and Education Act. These include the requirement to use good manufacturing practices, competent and reliable scientific evidence for safety, it's called CARS, generally recognized as safe ingredients, and if a manufacturer wants to use a different product, a non-GRAS product, they're required to notify the FDA 75 days before marketing to allow a pre-market review from the FDA. There are some consumer protections built in, but since the passage of Dietary in 1994, there's been a lot of controversy about this act. The main sponsor of the act was Senator Orrin Hatch from Utah. Turns out that there are many dietary supplement manufacturers in Utah introducing some degree of bias, I would think. And I don't know whether this is true or not, but there have been a lot of comments and accusations that Senator Hatch had received large financial contributions from dietary supplement companies. Some, I'd say even many public health experts believe that investigation of good manufacturing practices for possible adulteration is nowhere near sufficiently rigorous, that the possibility of adulteration is higher than we think, and many public health experts believe that the path to market entrance for dietary supplements is much too lenient. Now, part of the reason for this is that the budgets for the FDA and the FTC are way too small to keep track of all this. The FDA in the United States, for those of you who perhaps are not from the United States, the Food and Drug Administration is responsible for the prosecution of dietary supplements which are adulterated, and the FTC, Federal Trade Commission, is responsible for preventing fraudulent, misleading, or deceptive advertising in dietary supplements. But the problem is that there are now over 80,000 dietary supplements on the US market, and it's just impossible for the FDA to do anything but react to reports that they receive of adverse events. They can't monitor all of these products, and the same for the FTC. The budget is just too low for the FTC to review the many advertising and marketing pieces that we see all the time if you ride on a public bus or read a newspaper. These things are advertised all the time. Another point I want to make to you is that consumers assume that dietary supplements are approved. Many American consumers, and I think this is true in the rest of the world as well, incorrectly assume that if a dietary supplement is advertised, it has been reviewed and or tested and or approved by a legitimate health authority as being either safe and or efficacious. But that is not true. The manufacturers don't have to prove that. So most consumers are naive and don't understand how dietary supplements are manufactured or marketed. I have a number of patients who are highly educated, highly sophisticated people who will not make any financial, banking, or internet decision without a complete evaluation of what they're dealing with, yet they'll go to a local supermarket and pick up a bottle of one of these products and pop it into their mouths without really knowing what it does. So what can we do about this? What are steps that we can take to reduce the risks of, particularly of adulteration of dietary supplements, and to reduce the risks of fraudulent or deceptive advertising? Well, these are just suggestions. These are ideas. First of all, political and legislative efforts to increase FDA and FTC funding to allow for spot checks, more spot checks for adulteration, good manufacturing practices, and honest advertising. Another idea is to upgrade the DSHEA Act to meet modern standards of computer-based development, production, and marketing of dietary supplements. Remember that DSHEA was approved in 1994, and there's been an exponential growth of the dietary supplement industry as a result of online marketing and this act. So we're in a different era now, and that act, in my opinion, should be upgraded or reviewed. Another step would be to ask the dietary supplement industry to improve its self-policing. That's probably a dream, but I would think that honest and dietary supplement manufacturers that have integrity would want to be behind that. And finally, the establishment of an independent watchdog agency or entity to which violations of FTC and FDA policies and regulations could be reported. That type of watchdog committee could then alert the FDA or the FTC of possible violations. And since sexual medicine is more impacted by dietary supplements than any other specialty, I wonder if there might be a role that SMSNA could play in this watchdog committee. So it's a quick trip through a complicated subject, a political subject, and I hope it's meaningful to you. Just before I finish, I want to tell you that there's an industry lunch symposium next door in Ballroom IJ. Dr. Kira will be talking on innovations in testosterone therapy. Thank you very much.